All right, so we're excited to get started today, July 2nd, after what was that? 3 days of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So technically 4 days of round of 32 knockout games. Yesterday, I felt like it was a more exciting game, a more exciting day than the day before. Might have been partially because USA was playing, but quite honestly, I just think the games were more exciting. We didn't have any blowouts really. All the games were pretty exciting for one reason or another. And yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about though is Zico's on vacation with his family, and they were up in Rapid City, where I was running a tournament for 383 a week ago, or last Saturday rather. And he went out and looked at the monument, and that national monument with the presidents, the Mount Rushmore. It's to me, I went and saw it last year after Rapid City tournament, after running that. And I went and saw it and read about the history, which I knew a little bit about. And this year, when I went back, I wasn't dying to see it again because I'd already seen it, right? But it's kind of like it's always going to be there. I finally saw it. I don't need to go see it every year. But I thought the most interesting thing about it, obviously, is the history, how it was made, how the baseball players were paid. Pro baseball players didn't make any money back then, were the gentlemen largely responsible for building it. Those are some of the things I thought that were really cool about it. Some of the science and art that went behind making the eyes and the mouths. So they made them one way that you wouldn't think they would need to be made, but that's so that they would appear correctly to the human eye from distance. So anyway, what did you and your kids think about it when you went and saw that yesterday? What did you guys think about it, Zico?
This is our 7th year up in South Dakota. We love it. It's very wild, so it's cool. Obviously, the Badlands in the Black Hills. We're in the Black Hills. All 7 years, we've gone and visited Mount Rushmore. We love it. It's beautiful. It's just well organized and clean and gorgeous. And then it's historical. And then I think that it's a beautiful place to visit. Historical. It is. The U.S. is such a world center in so many ways. That's just a fact. People want to come, and they want to come to the West, let's say, the Western world, whatever. They want to come to the United States. And my son is a history buff like I am. And there's obviously a lot of history that isn't good. But overall, there's a lot of history that is good behind those guys, let's say. And so every time we come here, we go to the National Monument. And my kids, like I said, they love the history. My son really loves the history, period. But the history of this. Yeah, I also think it's pretty neat that, like, when we go there, you just hear 100 different languages. People from every corner of the world are there. And then Borglum, the guy who designed it, he immigrated. He is an immigrant. And so it's actually supposed to be something that is supposed to represent all. We truthfully know it doesn't, because I am going to say some of the most screwed people undoubtedly were the native people, the First Nations people. Absolutely. But now what we've got, we're looking back 100 and plus years ago. There's some bad things that happen, no question. But what it stands for now, what they're trying to make it stand for, let's say, we love it. We love the history of it. And again, I'll say that we see people from every corner of the world there. And I love it. And it's funny. It's weird. I talk about, hey, I would like the national team I support to represent my country. Everybody wants to see somebody who looks like them. Does that make sense? No question. And what's pretty funny is you go there and there truly is somebody from every corner of the world there. And I think that's pretty cool. So to me, that's as diverse as 5-6 mile radius that you'll get on the planet. It's pretty cool. I love it.
That's awesome. And you totally undermined my belief that, hey, I only had to see it once. And that's great. But you are a history buff. And no, it makes sense because it's considered, I think, one of the 7 wonders of the world or something like that.
Modern 7, maybe.
Modern
7, maybe.
Yeah, like the man-made whatever.
Yeah.
But but I can't remember. But it's what people might go see, the pyramids, or they might go see the Great Wall of China. Although I think that, as hard as that was to make, those were probably harder. And quite frankly, those were built on slave labor over decades, if not centuries.
100%.
The story behind what built that national monument is these baseball players who helped out. And it's always fascinating that an immigrant came over and helped to do this. That's the beautiful thing about our country is we're an immigrant nation, and not this side or the other. Oh, I got my Cyprus hat on from when I was out in Cyprus, Ayia Napa. It's funny. I thought, oh, I'll get Ayia Napa. That's the beach I stayed at. And then people look at it and go, oh, I haven't been to that part of Napa. What kind of wine do they have there? Well, this wine is off the Mediterranean. Anyway, I'm excited to hear your take about the games today. And we're going to be a little bit quicker today because Zico's got to get checked out of his hotel. You're going to start off talking about England, Congo, man. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday. Congo, it was 1974 when they played as Zaire. Some of our missionary friends that we spent time with in the Amazon were missionaries there in Zaire when it was Zaire. And so here you go, 52 years later, and they're playing against England. Pretty exciting. Man, it shows you how much talent there is in the world. And we're going to say this. It's funny. There's a reverse sometimes too, right? In the first world, you're not supposed to say that anymore, but I'm saying that. I just want to, let's be truthful and blunt, whatever. In the first world, there's sometimes a lack of opportunity. It's not a lack of opportunity. There's too many riches and spoiledness and this and that to get us focused. Where in the third world, which you're really not supposed to say, but I'm saying it anyway, there's less technology, less materialism, and you play ball. And if you look at it, Congo, man, they played so well against England, but they don't have the millions and millions of dollars to put into the national team as much, what have you. And they played straight up against England, and happy birthday, England. And let me tell you something. It's Harry Kane, who is world class. To me, he is the best all-around striker on the planet. Messi's different. I don't know what he is. Brilliant. The best all-around striker on the planet. Maybe the best just pure goal scorer is Holland in a way. Best pure player is Messi. But Harry Kane's the best number 9 on the planet. And I thought Congo was brilliant. The bummer is Congo did more so than what Japan did. Japan was forced back, and they scored against the run of play. Congo sat back after they took the lead, and sometimes how much is it England stepping up and the other team dropping off? But when you see these teams that haven't been in the World Cup for the last 13 episodes or 12 episodes of the World Cup, it was more Congo dropping back, I think, than England stepping up. And then as the game went on more and more, England stepped up more and more, and 2-1 England. And again, it's just going to show you what I'm going to say is absolutely nothing Einstein hasn't discovered yet. But man, I got news for you. It's so hard to score in the game. And when teams collectively organize and defend, it's so hard to score. Germany got beat by Paraguay. Germany was scored on first. England was scored on first and survived by the hair of their chinny chin. Brazil got scored on first and survived by that. You're thinking England, Germany, and Brazil all got scored on first. And it's not like they got scored on, then they got 5 goals. They got scored on, and Germany tied it, then lost. England and Brazil won it in the waning moments. And so it just shows that maybe we're not 48 teams strong in a World Cup. Maybe we're 40 or 42 teams strong in a World Cup. Congo is brilliant. I was blown away and underestimated them like crazy. They were brilliant. It was so nice to watch. And then Belgium.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll chime in there a little bit. I thought the same thing. I thought they played him straight up. I thought they looked technically sound. They looked very athletic. I thought England did a good job of not getting frustrated and staying on point. Brazil did when they went down 1-0. Their coach kept them tempered, kept them not getting overly emotional about it. But yeah, you're actually right. I'll say this about here. I learned something yesterday, and then we can move on because you said just about everything I would have wanted to say. So you heard me say this before. I don't watch a lot of soccer, play a lot of soccer, coached a lot of soccer, own a soccer business with you, right? But as I always tell people, it's because when I watch a soccer game, it's 90 minutes of my life that I have to focus. There's no commercial break, right? I can't check emails, and I'm so ADHD.
Yes.
I just have to, I can't, I have so many friends who didn't play or coach soccer as much as I did, but they know way more about professional soccer, which, by the way, that's what it takes for a sport to be popular. But the majority of the NFL fans did not coach or play football, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
And what's turned soccer around in this country is that people that never played soccer really, right? Maybe they played when they were a little kid. But when the MLS first started, when pro leagues were going in the 80s and 90s, and I saw two types of people go to the games. It was people like you and me who were like, just, hey, we just want to go see a soccer game. We want to support soccer. We're soccer fanatics. So you and I would go to Rapids games. And early on, it was an ugly. MLS was so ugly to watch. It was barely better than how ugly college soccer was, right? And by the way, as much as I wanted that league to be way better than me, there were players I knew that were out there were way better than me. And then I knew there were some that, nope, that guy's not better than me. And that makes me sad. And there definitely were a lot of players that you were much better than in the MLS back then. So point is, and then, so there were that type of people that went to the game, you and me trying to support. And then there were parents bringing their kids, and the parents didn't know how to watch the game. They were just doing something with their kids because their kids played club ball and felt like they should take them to a professional match. But people weren't engaged in the game. They weren't passionate about the game. They certainly weren't watching even EPL really back in the 90s and early 2000s. Now, Americans who didn't really play, maybe past junior high or high school, they're our core fan base. They love the sport. They're passionate about it. They go to MLS. They make it exciting, all this stuff. So anyway, all that is to say, soccer is surviving without me watching it, is my point, right?
Yeah.
And I love when I do watch a game, I get sucked into it. I could spend 10 hours a week doing it, right? The point is, I haven't seen Harry Kane play that much. I've heard his name over the years, over and over again, but I have rarely watched him play. And my perception of him was a one-dimensional goal scorer, which is definitely not too untrue based on what you're saying. He's a forward, right? But at the beginning of that game, I saw him try to juke a couple of the Congo players, and he got his pocket picked every time. And I thought, okay, the guy's got no skills. He's going to be the guy, the ball comes across the box, he can tap it in one touch, but he's not able to take anybody on. And it's true. He's not super fancy, right? But his one goal was one I expected from Harry Kane on his first goal, which is a header. His job is to finish. And you need that guy on your team. You and I have had teams we played on where you had a guy up. He's a forward, can't do anything but score goals. He can't dribble 3 touches. His first touch is his best touch, and it's in the back of the net, right?
Correct.
It's his only good touch.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. But then his second goal, while it wasn't fancy, he did accelerate into space with the ball, 2 or 3 touches, and put it in. It was still a simple goal, but it showed to me, he's obviously got some quickness. He scares the defense enough to where he didn't even have to do a fancy move, and they all just throws. And to be fair, on that second goal, I felt like Congo should have done better to stop that goal. But so I was impressed with Harry Kane, and so I agree with everything you affirmed what I said. And now I'm more of a Harry Kane impressed fan than I was ever before.
Yeah, and let me say this. So I'll disagree with you on one thing. And you said what you thought, what you perceived, right? Mm-hmm. I think Holland, this is not a rip, is that guy.
Oh, he's definitely more that guy than even Harry Kane is. Yeah.
Harry Kane, though, I just think truly his first touch, his hold-up play, his ability to draw a foul, even though he tried to drag his foot. That's what we were talking about yesterday.
That happened twice yesterday, and that happened twice yesterday. I told Crystal, because the U.S. almost got a PK, similar situation, where the guy's leg was there, right? And our guy tripped over his leg. Yeah. I saw that happen 2 or 3 times yesterday. That whole thing where don't think about pink elephants, and now all I can name is pink elephants. You told me that yesterday about how you can create a foul because the guy puts his leg in front of you, and you make the decision, do I go down or do I take the space ahead of me? And Harry Kane tried that, but he initiated contact, and the referee caught it. And he looked at that and went, Harry Kane tried that. Anyway, go ahead.
See, but he stuck his leg out there to get it, right? To me, I want to get you to lunge across, then I just run over your leg. But when you have to stick it out, so he got busted, which was great. But I think Harry Kane is the most well-rounded striker on the planet. I believe it blows my mind. The more I watch him, and not only this World Cup, I've known this for a few years now. I'm like, he comes all the way back in the midfield. He wins tackles on his own D. Here's an example. Igor Thiago was ripped in the first game. Stupidly, I've told you that before. He missed one chance, for making tackles on his own D. But Harry Kane does that. But Harry Kane is out of this world. But here, Mateus Cunha, wonderful, brilliant player. Young, growing. Mateus Cunha, I hate to say he's brilliant, but he's a poor man's Harry Kane in a way. He plays the 9. He's on the last player, but then he drifts out to the right, drifts out to the left, comes here and creates these gaps Where does the big 6'3", 215-pound defender want to track him 30 yards diagonally, be drugged into the midfield and to the sideline? No, they don't. So it creates these mismatches. Holland is that tapping guy and just immaculate and could dribble two cones if they were in a straight line, maybe could zigzag through two cones. And I'm underdoing it. I know that's me. I don't, but he's got this and he's genius at it. Harry Kane is so well-rounded and so smart. And here's the thing. The hardest thing is playing simple. Let me say this. Ready? I'm going to say this. Messi and Harry Kane. You know what they both do? They do the simple thing. What's the Messi move? From a static position, shuffle this way, then push it that way with the outside of the foot, a little scoop. What's the Messi move? I'm not trying to be rude. There's not a Messi move. The Messi move is world-class stuff done at 2,000 miles an hour. And he goes from walking to 2,000 miles an hour. But it's not. Now, you watch Ronaldinho, the Brazilian, right? You watch Maradona. Okay, is that AI? Because that's not right. We know they did it before AI. That's not right. Messi, you don't say, is that AI? You just say, hold on. He did the exact same thing 400 times in the last 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's what he did. It's amazing. Harry Kane is so well-rounded. To me, if Brazil had Harry Kane as their 9, they'd win the World Cup. Because I said Mateus Cunha is an under that. Last thing I'll say.
What you're saying is it's like in the EPL or if you have a top team, I want a Harry Kane at forward. I want someone who plays simply and finishes. I don't always want a Neymar as my forward.
No.
You want a mix of players, and that's what we like about the World Cup is that we see that kind of this style against that style, this high culture against that culture. We don't want to see an EPL Division 1 team, right? Because we want to see it because every EPL Division 1 team has that goal scorer, has that Brazilian, has that Spaniard, has that whatever, right? That German guy.
If the aliens invaded the world, I would want Harry Kane to be my 9. And I'd want Messi right behind him. And if we had a hard time scoring, I would like a healthy Neymar out wide, but you don't have that anymore. But I would start with those two guys. And if we're really pushing for it, I would get Holland on the last guy, Harry Kane working under him, and Messi walking into the picture when he wants. If the aliens invaded, I would start him at the 9. Okay,
let's move on to Belgium, Senegal. Give me your take on that.
Here's the sad thing. When it hurts when it happens. Neymar is old. Thiago Silva got old. He's gone from the Brazilian center backs. Marquinhos is old now. Belgium's down 2-0. And they have a young Jeremy Doku, who I was shocked. I'm like, why is he taking him off? Ancelotti's, why doesn't he take Casemiro off? He's old. Casemiro scores a tying header. The manager takes off Kevin De Bruyne, the best Belgian player ever, or one of the 3 best Belgian players ever, but world-class, world all-time great. Kevin De Bruyne, pure striker of the ball. And Kevin De Bruyne, what an attitude. This is a Northern European attitude. Not a prima donna, even though he's got the mindset of he knows he's out of this universe. He's taking off, I don't know, I'm going to say minute 60. I don't know what it was, 65. And he just sprints off, high-fives the coach, doesn't not look at the coach and walk off. They're down 2-0. And he sprints off, because you got to be off in 10 seconds, or it's 8 or 10. I think it's 10, the new, right? He sprints off, high-fives the manager. He's obviously upset, goes, sits in the dugout, sits in the back row, no problem. Take out Jeremy Doku, young, brilliant outside player who beats people. Takes them both off. I'm like, okay, I understand that De Bruyne is old, but brilliant. He'll pull something out of his rear in a second. Jeremy Doku, I don't understand. The guy is magic and young. And he puts in a couple other guys, which I'm like, I know they're good players, they're young players, they're coming up players, whatever else. I forget one of the two. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't think Rudy Garcia is a great manager. Still not a huge fan. And then they win 3-2. Wow. And it's everybody's yelling at Ancelotti. I was like, dude, put Fabio on. And I'm thinking win the ball up high, press Japan into the back. Put Fabio on, take Casemiro off. He's keeping Casemiro on, who's on a yellow card. but he knows Casemiro, and Casemiro scores the goal, right? And you got to think that as Monday morning quarterbacks, we're sitting here analyzing things or giving feedback, and that's amazing. Now, I don't think Rudy Garcia I think he thought that was the best chance of Belgium coming back, and he was right. I don't think he expected them to come back and wrap it all up before penalty kicks. Again, they had to play.
What about you? So Youri Tielemans, he scored
Yeah.
2 of the goals.
Yeah,
What'd you think about him?
his penalty kicks out of this world. He's such a leader in midfield,
Did he
man.
score
He
on a
is
penalty
just,
kick?
yeah, he's
Okay.
just so consistent, a leader in midfield. And I think it would have been between him and De Bruyne to take their penalty kick.
Yeah.
But De Bruyne is gone. And he was so calm. And if you can gently place the ball in the top corner, he did. He didn't rope it in the. It was just so beautiful. And Belgium deserved it because, again, Senegal, you see this. What I've noticed is this: when the big teams step up hard and put pressure on the teams that really don't know that they're brilliant, they think they might be good, they think they might be worthy. When one of the teams that have quote unquote done it before or had success, when those teams step it up to fifth gear, you see the other teams fold. Senegal folded, Japan folded, Congo folded. And folded is a hard word, but let's be honest. Folded, right? Those are hard words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying. If the USA, if your team, any country, if you win a World Cup, you're probably never going to fold because you'll always believe you could win a World Cup. And it doesn't matter who you're playing against, that whole belief thing. Germany's never going to fold. They might lose focus. They might just be outplayed. They might be like, maybe they're not in shape, whatever. They might have a comeback win against them, but it's not because they mentally folded. It's because they maybe even got arrogant, right? It could be the opposite problem.
Yeah.
But
I think it takes a long time to get over your arrogance. To me, don't get me wrong. I'm going to throw up every time Brazil kicks off. I'm going to throw up. During the national anthem, I cry. Can't help it. I always walk into the other room. Don't want people to see me. I'm admitting it here, but don't hate it. I know that this is, to me, the weakest since the success of 74 and the weakness since 66, the weakest group. But it's still a top 5, 6, 7, or 8 team.
Right.
They're still in. And to be honest, getting over the arrogance of, man, we are a good team. We are the best.
Yeah.
Getting over that is up. But I look and it's, you know what? We need this team to meet that team because we can't beat that team, but they can beat that team. We can't beat that team, but they can beat that team. And I've got to say, at this point, here's the arrogance. I am convinced that Brazil can beat everybody but one team. And the good news is that team is online to play against the one team that I think can beat them before we play them. But I don't know that we'll get through Norway. So
who do you see in France play that you think might be able to beat them?
Spain.
Yeah.
Spain's had France's number. Spain's had France's number, and they play such contrasting styles. Spain keeps the ball. And see, that's something Brazil used to do. Spain keeps the ball. And so this fast tempo that France wants to play, they haven't been able to play because they don't really have the ball as much. Now, that said, if Brazil attacks France's backs well, Brazil could beat them, but I'm saying could, not we are the best.
All right, so, let's move on from that. Because,
let's move on. But let me say one last thing. As much as these big teams, they put themselves in trouble falling behind 1-0.
Yeah.
If everybody let's talk about the lesser teams, though, not the sexy teams, but the lesser. Those teams have folded.
Yeah.
At some level. They've folded.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, we've saw it happen. Congo, I thought, wow, they're going to win this game against England. I thought, obviously, Senegal had it in the bag against Belgium.
Yep.
And
they hooped their pants.
And so, all right. So the next game, the USA. I wanted to make a tie-in because what I thought was impressive about this game was the turning point, which was the red card. Right. Okay. First of all, back up a bit. So we come out, we play well, we possess. I'm like, oh, wow, USA is still playing the way the coach wants them to play. They're still playing in that style. They're possessing. They have a dynamic attack. They're doing well, right? They had most of the momentum. Bosnia had a few chances early on. And then And when we scored, even though it wasn't the prettiest goal, because what led up to it was pretty, it bounced around. But what happened is we were putting so much pressure because to be fair, we had 3 or 4 opportunities leading up to that. We were just pounding them, dominating. It felt like you could just feel a goal coming. And when that happens, that's when you talk about teams folding or breaking down, or they're under a lot of pressure, and that's when mistakes happen, right? And so we have a surprise counterattack, sweet goal by our leading scorer, who then later gets the red card, right? So when we got that red card, which I think is a bit controversial, if it weren't for VAR, it would not have been a red card because it just looked like it looked at full speed, especially, it looked like incidental contact. They both were struggling for the ball, and it was an ugly cleat to the back of the calf and the ankle. It somehow didn't look intentional because he wasn't even looking. He was looking straight ahead. He wasn't looking down. That being said, so when that happened, my mind went back to 1994 when on July 4th, Brazil played the USA. And Brazil won that World Cup, right? We were playing well. We still only had maybe 40% of the possession, but it was 0-0. Brazil was not breaking us down. And we had Tab Ramos. And one of the things that bothers me is that Tab Ramos doesn't get as much recognition for being one
out of this universe, amazing player.
Yeah.
40 years, 30 years, it's got to be 30, 32 years ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was. And you put
Fantastic.
him on today's team, he would fit right in with it because he was the only player on the team that had the composure to not panic when the ball was passed to him and he had 2 Brazilians on him, right? It's not that he would necessarily, but he was just a great player. And so we're playing Brazil fairly straight up. And then that horrible red card happens. And for people who don't remember, he gets in a tussle with what's the guy's name and gets an ugly elbow to the temple, fractures his skull. The look on Tab Ramos's face, his pupils dilated. You could even see it on crappy television.
His arms up like this, and it's locked, and he can't. It's terrifying.
It was horrible. You could have died. It looked like he might have died. Now, the beautiful part of that story that you told me is after the game, that guy goes to the hospital and goes to Tab's bedside and prays for him, right? He was there because he felt so horrible for what happened. But they took Tab off, and I didn't realize this. They put Eric Winalda on for him, who was one of our best players back then. But without Tab Ramos on, Brazil, even a man down, was able to just coordinate and get a goal and outplay us for that last, right? So here I'm contrasting this in 94. We go a man up and we can't take care of business against Brazil. We look worse because we lost our best player. This tournament, we lose our leading goal scorer, and it's a character moment. What is the U.S. going to do? And by the way, the perfect way when you're down 10, the perfect way to play when you're down a man and you're playing with 10 is exactly the way they played. They played more low pressure, right? But they didn't panic. When they got the ball, they tried to possess, and they did. Oftentimes in their own box, they're dinking it around in their own box, possessing the ball, right? Not panicking at all. I was so impressed with the amount of character that they showed. That was professional level character of not panicking and not, you talk about those other teams pooping their pants because they've never been there. They're surprised they're there. They can't believe they're up 1-0. They can't believe they're up 2-0. And then they panic, they choke or whatever. US did not choke. And then they go, and when you're down a man and you don't choke and you possess the ball, oftentimes you end up scoring a goal because the other team's trying so hard, especially if they're behind, to score, and you get that counter attacking goal. And so that to me was the biggest test. Now, Bosnia they looked old. Our coach has done such a good job of getting our team fit that they ran them into the ground. The other team looked like, man, we can't keep up with these Americans. And when we went down a player, then they played us even. But before that, we had all the momentum. And then I know you have to appreciate it wasn't the perfect free kick, but it was the right free kick at the right time. And it was in that spot. You and I've talked about this before. It was too close in. It was right outside the 8, one of the hardest places to take a free kick because there's not enough time or space to go over the wall and then back down often to score, and he struck it not super hard enough to get a spin on it, hard enough to go over the wall, and hard enough so that it spun, but not so hard that it didn't shoot and fly over the goal. It wasn't perfectly in the corner, but because it was over the wall, out of where the keeper wanted to stand and protect, he's going to stand more to the left of the wall, right? It went in, and that was a very Brazilian-like goal, right? A Messi goal, a Brazil goal. So I think, to me, that was such a defining moment of the character of the team. That gave me more confidence than probably any other game they played. And they played it. They were the best they've been. They were organized the best on defense, and they have been the whole tournament. They didn't make a mistake like they did in a couple games where they lost their shape on defense, and the other team got an easy goal, like in the first and third goal in the first and third game in the round. But that's my take of it. Is just what a great job. I'm very sad we lost our leading goal scorer. But for the first time ever, not only we had 6 guys worthy of starting for the US. Now we have 14, maybe 15, maybe 16 players worthy of starting for the US. And we got Reina, we got Berhalter who can come in. There's some guys on the bench that we want to see. So there's at least 2 or 3 that we don't mind bringing in to help. So I thought that was just that was probably my favorite game of the 4 because they answered the question, what are you going to do when things don't go your way, right? And you have your back against the wall. And that's a true test for a team, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay, so quickly, because I want to talk about the U.S. a bit more, but quickly, the 1994 Leonardo wound up going and just begging and apologizing to Ramos. And you know what? Let me say this. It's one of those that you regret, and it's awful, and it's a moment, and I'm sure you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, oh my goodness. I think Leonardo threw a hard elbow and tried to smack Ramos. I don't think he tried to hit him in the head, because if you watch, but it was brutal. So the bottom line is, you're in control. You're a pro, a gazillionaire. You're in control of your body, because Leonardo is about 5'8", way under 6 feet, but about 5'8". I'm going to say a couple inches shorter than me. And if you watch, he threw his elbow here, and he threw his elbow at about 5'1". But if you saw, Tab Ramos tried to nutmeg him, and it didn't work. Leonardo closed his legs. And when he did, if I try to nutmeg you, it's coming from the front. And when you block it, and I'm accelerating past you, you know what's happened? You've beaten me now. You beat me the other way. But it's on the sideline, right? And Ramos grabs around Leonardo like this and tries to loop back around and stop Leonardo. And so he tries to nutmeg me, tries to go around Leonardo by hooking him like this. And Leonardo throws an elbow here. Like in theory, what would have been around your chest. But what you know is when you run around a corner, what do? You lower yourself, you lean in. And if you look, Tab Ramos was about at 4'10", right about here. Yeah. It was sad. Am I saying that since he tugged on Leonardo, he was worthy of a broken... No! Yep. He was fouling Leonardo. If Leonardo wouldn't have done that, the ref was probably in a...
Did I read? Because I researched this a little bit, and ChatGPT is not always correct, but it said that Tab got a yellow card, that the Brazilian player got a red card on that play.
That's amazing. He might have. That blows my mind.
Yeah. Can you imagine giving someone a yellow card who looks like they're dying on the field?
I know. That's true. I know. Hey, let me say this. What you said about the U.S., I'm going to say something about Brazil, too. Great point. On that moment, again, it's one of these things where you go in, and if you're calm and cool, we're the better team. We're going to win. So you try to go in, but you got to have the emotion and passion, but not be out of control. And that's a fine balance. So what happened in that one is Brazil had Romário and Bebeto and the greatest captain Dunga. And Brazil goes into it, and they're the better team. It's 0-0, and it's a minute 43 or so where this happens. And Leonardo elbows him in the head, and Brazil goes down a player. And the announcers are talking, whatever else. And it was on 4th of July, and the announcers are talking, whatever else. And I don't know if you remember this, but right after, within 75 seconds, Brazil hits the post. And Miola doesn't even move. He just does, oh my gosh. And it hits the post. And so then you instantly see it though. Okay, we gotta go to fifth gear because we're down a player and it's halftime.
Yep.
And so that's the thing that I'll say the US did, let's say yesterday then,
Yep.
in a different manner is, okay, hold on. We're up 1-0. Brazil wasn't up 1-0. They had to go and get the one.
Yeah.
It's 0-0. They're down a player. The US was up one. Okay, let's consolidate. And the one thing that in a way is great about the US red card is it represents what Congo wound up doing, what Senegal, I don't know why they wound up doing it, what Japan did, what Paraguay did, is when you play low press, it's not like you're in danger of giving up a goal. But you got to admit, there's this thing of, but the ball's within 35 yards of our goal. Yeah. And you have 8 players lined up between the ball and your goal, and then a keeper. So there's this bad feeling. But what happens is you invite everybody into your half, but the other half is wide open.
Yeah.
So I see that happening with Brazil and Norway, where Brazil will have more of the ball in Norway's half. But if there's one slip up, Holland's got 60 yards behind Brazil. And that's terrifying. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I think that the US did a great job of that. First, consolidate. Then secondly, start countering really well out of these counterattacks with no number 9. And the US did that brilliantly.
And the other thing is, even though they played low pressure, it wasn't 18, 20-yard low pressure. They were out 30, 35 yards, which made a counterattack even more feasible because they weren't all the way back in their box. And the problem with this is the other problem with you talk about the US's goal. If you spend enough time in the other team's box trying to score, typically, eventually the ball bounces your way, right? And no matter how well you defend in your box, you're going to get a bad bounce because bad bounces happen. You make it cause a PK because you got to be aggressive in your box. You can't be soft, right? And so good things happen. And so I thought the US not only played low pressure, but they didn't just play in their box. They challenged outside the box 10, 15 yards, which kept Bosnia from getting just chance after chance after chance.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Did we say this yesterday or no? I would like people to go back and just watch. Late in the first half, let's say, for Paraguay and Germany. Watch both games. Compare and contrast them.
Yep.
Where Paraguay is playing just low press. Japan gave Brazil too much respect early. They capitalized off of a Brazilian mistake and scored. But then once you score and you've been playing back, what do? Let's hold on to this. At least hold on till halftime, right? And I don't know, tell me if we talked about this, but if you watch Paraguay, when you see the shape, did we talk about the grass, the lines in the grass, how they're mowed?
Yeah.
Okay. Paraguay was meeting Germany 30 yards out. If you watch Japan against Brazil, they were meeting Brazil 35, 36 yards out. And so when you see the shadow lining of the mowed grass, it's to the 6-yard box. We talked about this, to the penalty spot, to the 18. Japan was meeting Brazil where when he received it, he would have had to strike the ball from 36 yards or 38 yards.
Yeah.
Paraguay played 6 yards deeper even. And you can see that.
Yeah.
And so for the US, they were meeting at whatever you say, 35 yards out with one player less. That's well done. When a ball goes backwards, you got to cheat up 4, 5, 6 steps, whatever. The ball goes back 50 yards, you get up as far as you've planned to get up.
Yes, they stayed pretty compact. Sometimes their sweeper was all the way out 10 yards, our side of the half midfield. I want to say one more thing about yesterday's games. I showed Crystal this during the halftime of the USA game. That second goal by Senegal was what makes the sport a beautiful game. We talk about it. If I'm an NFL quarterback and I make a 50-yard pass to a guy running full speed with a guy on his back, perfectly timed pass, perfectly caught, 50-yard catch, everybody goes crazy like that's the most beautiful thing they've seen in the world. The guy scores a touchdown, he spikes it, he pumps his chest or whatever. Senegal player is running full speed, right? The defender sends a ball from 12 yards inside his own half. It's a 50-yard pass, give or take a few yards. Running full speed, he turns, catches the ball on his chest like he's playing
What a great point.
Like he's playing soccer volleyball, right? beautiful catch. I'm running this way as fast as I freaking can. The ball comes over my shoulder. I catch it. And it not even using his arms. Like it was his chest.
Sprinting, your hips are even angled this way, out of this world.
And at full speed. And
Play of the day, 100%.
I've got to, so it's perfect pass. He controls it. The goalkeeper is in that area where the goalkeeper can't come out. He's got to stay on his line. And if this pass was like just a foot too hard of a touch, just slightly too heavy, keeper's got it, or he's reaching for the shot, he's going to kick it over or miss the goal. But instead, it's perfectly, that beats any NFL catch, one-handed, whatever. Guess what? It was no hands. He caught a 50-yard pass with his chest.
Typically, they cheat and they use the bicep. Now you can't do that anymore. Like this, like,
yeah, right.
And use the bicep. No, amazing.
I watched it in slow motion from every angle. It was actually, that's the best goal I've seen so far because of the physicality, the timing, the touch, that was the beautiful game to me and defined in a moment.
What a beautiful
I just thought was amazing. And
that's all brilliant.
Yeah, that was the best goal so far of the tournament for me. Now we've seen some great shots from outside the frame where they bend it in the far post. Those are always
you're right. That was out of this universe.
Yeah, it was. And I think that should be a highlight of it. I think if Senegal won, that would have been such a major highlight to see over and over again, especially if they would have won 2-1, not in the game winner or whatever. All right. What's interesting, so Mexico's got to play England next round. We're not going to talk about this yet. United States is playing Belgium. Boy, Mexico's got a tough game. United States have a pretty tough game, but I don't think they have as tough a game as Mexico, right? Belgium's not the class of England. And so that's going to be interesting. But talking about today's games.
Before we segue, can I give a little bit of credit and segue with a funny story?
Sure.
Okay. So I have so many friends. Most of my Facebook friends are still from Canada. And I'm going to tell them a story that they're going to laugh about. So real quickly, 4th of July is in 2 days. 250 years, Canada 169 years.
His birthday is today or yesterday?
Canada's birthday was yesterday.
Yesterday, gotcha.
July 1st. Happy Canada Day.
Yep.
I'm going to tell this story because it's pretty funny. So in Canada, there's a hardware store called Beaver Lumber, right? And Canada's national animal is the beaver. And I was working at Beaver Lumber in the Paw, my town, and it was Canada Day, July 1st. And it had gotten pretty warm. And so guess what I was? On Canada Day, there's a little parade in my town. Guess what I was? I was the Beaver Lumber Beaver. And so I walked around in a full beaver suit for Canada Day. And I have to say, because I'm talking about Canada's birthday right now. Yeah. And so I was the Beaver Lumber Beaver. And I was decked out in some of these big highs. I could see people's feet and everything else. And so I marched in the parade and everybody, oh, look, there's a bunch of kids hugging me and whatever. And I don't know if we were throwing out suckers or if we were throwing out balloons. Pretty funny. And so we do the march and all. And it was 2 hours, and I was sweating, dare to say this, like a dog, as a beaver, right? And so I'm walking around, and I walk in the back alley, and I'm going into the backside of the Beaver Lumber store, and I am done. I'm so thankful. And think about what would be upset if it saw a beaver live. I'm walking the back alley, and this dog with the deepest bark on the blade, and it came charging at me. And I had feet this big, and I had a head this big, and I had big mittens, and I started running so hard for the back of the store. I was probably 50 yards away. Oh, it's funny. I was in the back alley behind Beaver Lumber, and I started running so hard to the backyard where they have all the lumber stacked. And I started running so hard to the backyard. And luckily, the dog was two things. But I didn't see. I pooped my pants, and as my big helmet, beaver helmet, is shaking around, and I have these eyes, I gotta like pull my ears and look up like this to see the dog. And I start running and taking off. I don't know why it didn't kill me. Come to find out, it had that Goliath sound to it, that it was behind a chain link fence that was chained, but it would move like this quite a bit, but not enough for it to get its head through. And on top of it, it had a chain around its neck that was like 25 feet. Because it was probably a killer. So it was chained behind a chained fence. No way I was going to outrun it with feet this big and a big head shaking, whatever. And so that was the end of my day. So that is my funniest, worst, goofiest. And I don't know to this day how many of my friends knew that I was the Beaver Lumber Beaver on Canada Day. And it was 1988 or something like that. Pretty funny. Is that funny or what? So
Oh,
I have to say,
it's hilarious. I have a
happy
similar story I'm
Canada
not going to
Day.
tell today. That is hilarious. But when I was in Croatia, I had a similar thing happen to me. I wasn't wearing a beaver outfit, but we'll talk about that some other time. That's hilarious. I can imagine you. And that was before phones, so nobody could have got that on video, right? Because
Nobody could have gotten out
nobody's
of
got a
video.
big VHS camera doing this. Or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes. Before cameras on every CCTV. Yeah.
Good.
So saying happy birthday to Canada, happy Canada Day, and then obviously happy 4th of July in just 2 days. So pretty
Yeah.
funny. So let's get to today's game. Sorry.
Yeah. So we got Spain, Austria today at 1 o'clock. It's good. I'll be able to get some work done before then. Portugal, Croatia, Switzerland, Algeria. Those all seem like those could be some fairly evenly matched games today.
Crazy games.
Yeah.
Crazy games. Yeah. So here's the thing that I think kills Spain, and it killed Barcelona when they were at their peak. Let's go back now 10 years ago to 20 years ago when they just had this untouchable team, Barcelona. 9 years ago to 20 years ago. Sometimes Spain find themselves in a 0-0 game and frustrated by it 40 minutes in because all they did is they killed the clock by their overpassing. It's like you can overpass, but what you're doing is you're compacting the defense into a low block and you feel comfortable with it. But now you've beaten the team down so much that they're densed or massed within 35 yards of their goal. So sometimes Spain passes themselves into a 0-0 game. So I don't even understand it. We've had 78% of the ball and it's 0-0 a minute 75. That's your fault.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's what happened to them when they lost against Chelsea in the UEFA Championship like 15 years ago. When I'm teaching kids,
I think that was 2008, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm teaching kids as they're getting older, they're going from 7, 8 years old to whatever, and we start working on 2v1s and 3v2s. It'll be a 2v1, and the person who starts with the ball is always looking to pass, even though the defender's cheated over to the right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And they obviously should fake the pass or just accelerate into the space and score a goal. And so I asked this question, and it confuses them at first. I said, is the objective of the game to pass or to score? And they're like, oh, it's to score. So if you're in a better position to score, don't think you're going to get rewarded for passing. Right? It's passing's beautiful. And there's some coaches, like you said, oh, we passed, we possessed, it's whatever. But did you score? Right? That is the objective. It's passing with a purpose.
Yes.
It has got to be there. Not that Spain can't do that. Not that Barcelona didn't do that. But that's the point.
Yeah. Let's talk about it from a coaching perspective then. Here's my criticism. Ready? People can get mad. But prove to me that I'm wrong. Here's the problem. A lot of coaches do this. They don't know. They've seen great coaches do this. They do passing activities in a box, in a square. There's no length and no width. We play on a rectangle. So you know what? Always have length and width, no matter what. Length and width create natural direction, a natural flow, where if I play it there 6, 7 yards, and that guy's a yard or two off the line, that's only 10 yards. But if I play it there 13 yards, he's 2 steps in, I've got a 10 by 15-yard grid. You start getting this natural flow. Here's the next thing. We're counting passes. Okay, if you're going to do that, do it in a rectangular shape again. But we start counting passes and we forget. And what we're looking at is, what's the first principle of attack? Penetration. How many passes do you see that go sideways and back? Most of them. The easiest pass to complete is back. Great. Not going to get your goal. Next easiest is sideways. Great. Not going to get your goal. At some point, we got to penetrate. So here's an example. 2018 World Cup. Here's my criticisms. Ready? Spain. Excellent team. Excellent team. Who am I to talk? Look who I like. Spain. Look how stacked they are. But here's the problem. 2018 World Cup. Who was their striker? Diego Costa, a Brazilian they naturalized. They subbed him off. Who was their sub? Rodrigo. Who's that? A Brazilian they naturalized. Wait, your first player, your starter, and your backup. Your starter and your backup are Brazilians that you naturalize. Spain, don't tell me you're brilliant, because we've got a problem here. And we all hold on to ideals. That's absolutely right. I'm going to say something. 2 clubs that I've coached at, one was small, one we were athletically challenged. That's just a fact. Athletically challenged. Cool. And it made me a different coach. I didn't like the way I coached, but it made me a different coach. I played ugly. We won, but it wasn't just booted. I would say, this is what's going to happen. We're going to suck them in and we're going to counter behind them and we're going to do this. We're going to find Gary over there who's going to slide it up to Jason. But hey, if you're on that side, Paul, when I find Gary and it's complete and Gary turns and faces forward, you got to get to that back post. And it's not the beauty that I wanted. But so here's an example. We see a lot of teams that are playing beyond their capability, the way they're trying to play. Is that good? Whatever. You got to know what you have and you got to coach to what you have. So what we are saying is Spain will be like, can you believe it? Here's an example. 2018. They said we lost the game and we had 1,006 passes. First time ever. Spain lost the game. They had 1,006 passes. Did you know that? They scored 1 goal. Did you know that? 6 of their passes, I believe it, was in the Russian 18-yard box. Are you ready? Their most completed passes was by their center back, their holding midfielder, defensive midfielder, center back, defensive midfielder, and their left back, I believe it was. That's great. You don't hear the attacking midfielders and the outside midfielders and the forwards making the passes. So if you're better than you're Spain, and I'm just little club, little country, and you're going to do this, run that stat up all you want. Scores 0-0 in minute 75.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And this Spanish coach has been trying to be a bit more direct. He has. And in fact, when he started, they were still doing this all over the top. Correct? And he started with the Spanish team for the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, I guess it was, right? And this played in 2021. And Spain got to the final against Brazil. Guess who won? Brazil. Brazil had more individual, I'm going to beat you. Spain did. They had this, we play a system. We play a system. You have to have a system. But what's the point? Score and not pass.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. 100% right.
And certainly we're not talking about whacking the ball down the field, but having a strategy for being direct, right? Even in the midst of, you're playing defensively, you're playing low pressure, we're going to have a coordinated, skillful counterattack. Yeah, at least 100%. So we can draw a foul out just outside the box and get a free kick. At least it's there, right?
100%. And I don't know if I wrapped it up. So my point being, too, is Spain, where they make all these passes, who was their forward? A Brazilian. They naturalized. Who was their substitute up front? A Brazilian. They naturalized. There's a problem. You're forgetting about that. And penetration is the first principle of attack. And if you don't penetrate, you're not going to score a goal.
That's right. All right. So Spain, Austria. Austria's got a strong soccer history. I don't know how they're playing so far in the World Cup, but they made it to the next round. So that seems to me, I wonder if you think Austria is going to play Spain straight up, or they're going to set back and kind of how you play Spain is you play a little bit low pressure no matter what, and then
you got it
back anyway.
You got it. You got it. And it's because Spain can play. They're excellent. Austria needs a mistake by Emery, the Spanish keeper. And I've heard a million, what are they called? Pundits, commentators say this, and they're 100% right. He's got one flub up every single game. And so Austria would be pushed back. The problem with Austria is they tied a not very good Algeria 3-3. And you can't do that. And now they got through. They were behind. They came back in the last waning moments with a couple goals. But you know what? Austria's got to know what they have. They have to have a coordinated counterattack. And then when they have corners or free kicks, they've got to make them work. So they can score on a counter maybe, and they can score on a coordinated free kick. Spain's going to have much more of the ball. And I only predicted, and I've been wrong only, 75% of the time we've been talking. But in theory, I know what I'm talking about. But I said only 2-1 Spain. It could be worse. I said only 2-1 Spain because they will waste 60 minutes passing side to side. Although they've gotten way more direct for Spain than before. And I almost regret not saying 3-1. I might have to change that before the game. But
No, that's good. We're not doing betting lines or whatever. Oh, by the
yeah,
way, Bosnia, big, strong. They have a guy that was like 6'6", had a really tall guy. And so when they were doing corners, man, they were creating a scrum like Portugal did against, oh no, Ecuador did against Mexico, creating a
yes,
scrum in front of the
yes,
goal. And I have to say that made me nervous because historically the USA is not very good at dealing with scrums in their box, right?
yeah,
And we defended all those very well. So I was very happy with the US. Everything I've seen them, they answered a lot of questions about weaknesses I've seen them have in the past, whether it was mental, it was losing battles in the box,
mhm,
or man, when they lose the ball, man, they aggressively go back to win it right away. And they did
absolutely.
that. And they successfully do it. Yeah, it's been impressive. All right, so we got Portugal, Croatia, got everybody's favorite Modric, and then everybody else's favorite Ronaldo, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Messi notwithstanding, but I
yeah,
think true diehards in the world, we all respect Modric as one of the
absolutely.
greatest of all time. My Rottweiler's named Modric, of course. And I was happy to see that he's still playing and he's a nice little guy to knock the ball into and blah, 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 and help keep the team together. But Portugal's a little inconsistent. So you don't know what they're going to do.
Totally.
There's always drama with Ronaldo. He's a drama queen. And
Yeah,
so I don't know. That's my take on it. Is two
yeah.
good teams. I don't know who's going to win. It depends on who and how they show up, in my opinion.
You and I are under pressure, just like all those big teams we said who gave up the first goal. Because between you and I, we have 9.5 minutes to finish 2 games. I don't think we're good at it, but let's do a comeback. Okay,
Yeah.
so I stupidly predicted 2-1 Croatia on counterattacks. Croatia they're just soccer royalty. They are soccer royalty now because, of course, they used to be Yugoslavia back in the day. And I told you all of these, including Bosnia, I'm a fan of because they're a bunch of itches that used to be, mostly itches that used to be part of Yugoslavia, what have you. Croatia, brilliant tactical, extremely good, can hit on the counter. Portugal, to me, they have a hard time scoring goals so often, but you look at their lineup, and their lineup, they just have what would be called superstars, but they just don't score enough goals. And I actually semi-fancy Portugal to beat Spain if they played Spain. I really do, because they have the skill on the ball to match them and beat them. But I see that Croatia could win on counters. See, Croatia could win on counters. I might be wrong. That's just, and maybe that's a 45-55 or 40-60. I'm going the wrong way. That's an underdog. But Croatia are magic at counters. Modric, if you need to play out, you play out through Modric. Modric has these beautiful, massive calves and these old man thighs, and he is so quick for 4 yards, not fast over long distance. But why is he playing? Speed, physical, or mental speed? Because of mental speed.
Yeah.
Nobody's brain is just that fast, really. Only 5 people maybe on the planet are that fast mentally. He's the new Pirlo, and he's not new because he's 40 years old or whatever it is. So I think that is such an incredible game. I think that in what I would have said, the Netherlands and Morocco on paper would seem like the 2 craziest games, and then Brazil, Japan third. I think this might be the craziest of all the games. Might be
Yeah.
totally wrong. Who knows? A phenomenal game. You're going to have big stars who just don't seem to gel enough in Portugal, and to counter with these. The Croatians are like badgers or wolverines. What's their population? 1/20th of their population. Now, of course, we have 2 little countries playing population-wise. So Croatia are studs. And where I think Portugal will have more of the ball, I think the game's going to open up, and I think Croatia's going to hit counters, in my opinion.
It'll be interesting because I haven't seen him be flashy. Portugal's hot and cold. Like you said, they got some talent, but you just don't know if they can overcome. I don't know. I feel like,
They were beaten into the ground by Colombia.
yeah,
They were lucky. Go ahead,
oh my
sorry.
gosh. Yeah. And that was a fun game to watch. That was
Yep.
such an intense game. And that was Friday night, right? That kept me up late. Or was that? I
It
can't
might have been
remember.
Friday. It might have been Friday.
Yeah. But yeah, at this point in his career, Ronaldo, because he lacks humility, and deservedly, he's got a lot to be humble about, right? He's
Yeah.
incredible. But I worry that as he's getting older, he's holding on too tight. In fact, the most impressive thing I thought he did in the World Cup so far was pretend to take a free kick and let that other guy take it and put it in. He stood there arrogant. I thought it was a pretty good job of acting for Ronaldo.
Yeah.
He wasn't just acting; he was being himself, and then deciding
exactly. Hey, act arrogant and overconfident.
Right.
I got this. He's not stepping out of character, that's for sure.
Yeah, but
the thing is,
just when you think he's gonna cause problems and his drama is gonna get in the way of everything, he does something great, puts the ball in the goal or makes a great pass or something like that.
Yeah. And as the game slows down and gets into a rhythm, maybe that's when you put him on. Because don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's probably the fittest guy in the field still today. But he's the oldest guy in the field.
Yeah.
And you can be fit. That's the fittest 40-year-old man, whatever. I don't know. He might be 41. Fittest 40, 41-year-old man you will see on the planet. Yeah. Playing against a fit 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Now he can do more pull-ups and more push-ups than the guy.
Yeah. But the quickness, does he have the quickness to explode? That explosion.
You can't tell me he's at his very peak. He's not.
No, he's not.
He's 10, 15% down, which is a lot at this level. And why is he down? Because he's 40, 41.
Yeah, totally.
Is he still brilliant? Absolutely.
All right, we got 5 minutes, so we need to wrap up. It's the Portugal, Croatia. I don't know.
No added time in this game. No added time.
You got to check out. Your family's probably yesterday after a day of I had so much to do, including this podcast. Crystal's dog sitting, this little dog, which my Roddy Maldrich will eat if given the chance. So she's managing, moving one in the kennel, the other one out of the kennel, outside. The little dog thinks he's going to murder my dog. It's a little puppy Shih Tzu. It weighs 6 pounds. And Modric looks at it and he's salivating. He wants to eat the little dog. He literally is, please just let me eat the dog. Modric is the friendliest dog with humans. But when he sees a little dog like that, it's like those Bugs Bunny cartoons where the wolf sees the whatever and he imagines it a cooked turkey. Yeah,
Correct.
That's what Modric looks at this little dog Milo. Correct. He just wants to murder him, and he looks like a little gremlin. Anyway, but so I had to walk up to her yesterday and say, because between World Cup, between our podcast, between voice lessons and work and all this stuff, she's managing that the whole day. I walk up to her at the end of the day. I go, honey, I want you to know I appreciate you. I know that you have been doing everything for me today and that you have stuff to do too. So you need to, when you get back to the room, while Beth is trying to get everything packed to get you guys out of there on time, you got to go give her a hug and say, honey, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for taking it.
For half of the time is like, hey, where are my underwear? That's it. Okay, we're playing like Spain.
Switzerland, Algeria. Tell me about Switzerland and Algeria, because I know very little about both teams.
Yeah. Switzerland don't seem to be, to me, where they were in 2018, 2022. But like Brazil and a number of teams, they could be growing into this. And the U.S. has stayed growing into this. And there's a number of teams that are growing into this. And so maybe the Swiss are growing into this. Beating Canada was something actually big for the Swiss because Canada is a good squad, man. They're a good squad. And they were in Canada. So I would think that Algeria could hit on counters. Algeria scored 3 goals in their last game. Hey, you know what? First of all, get to the dance. They're in the knockout phase. I think that Algeria, like when you think, oh yeah, man, this is the best opponent. To me, you stop and you think, what are they thinking about us? Oh, this is an opponent we can beat. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like anybody's seeing France and thinking, yeah, we got France. But so Swiss aren't as strong as they were in the last 2 World Cups. I'm just convinced of it. Not as strong as 2018, 2022. So they've gone down some. They're the favorites. I think I put them down to win 2-1. Everything's 2-1, I think, today. Anyway, they're the favorites. But I guarantee you, Algeria's like, oh, man. Around the 32, right? I guarantee Algeria, we could have had 12 to 15 or 16 teams harder than this.
Yes.
Can do this. So, you know, when you think, yeah, we can beat these guys. Okay, if I was them, what would I say? Oh, crap, they would be saying the same thing. They're happy about this. Also, trust me, Algeria's, oh, we're good with this, man. We're totally good with this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes there's the favorite and the underdog, but you're like, yeah, we're underdog to them, like, again, 45-55 or 60-40. Every team's got a weakness. We're underdogs to them 45-55, 60-40. but there's about 8 other teams that we'd be 80-20 to. So we'll take this all day. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I think Switzerland will win. If it goes into overtime, man, wow, then probably give it to Algeria. But I think Switzerland will win 2-1 in regulation. I'm just making that up. I believe that. They just have overall more quality. If it goes overtime and it becomes a bit of a fitness in, again, is it played outside? Is it played in sun? That's going to be a big difference. I say Swiss 2-1. Algeria will be plenty happy with the matchup, though.
All right. So we'll wrap it up there. Although I do got to give a shout out to Mauricio Pochettino. He's been a blessing in our country. He was the coach we needed. I wish we would have got him a year earlier, right?
Yep.
And I wonder if a coach like that, he can do more. And should he stick around to be the coach for the next 4 years, no matter what happens in the next game for the USA? That's something we can talk about later, because sometimes it makes sense to change the national team coach. This might be one of those situations where it makes sense for him to maintain his influence on U.S. soccer, like 100%. We thought Klinsmann was going to do, which thank God he's out of there. But if we're really lucky, Pochettino will stick around and reshape American soccer for the next 4 years, because that would make us better. Anyway, but, all right, thanks, Zico. You go enjoy time with your family. Good seeing you. Love you, brother.